Welcome to the 3% Podcast, a bi-weekly podcast from Open Letter and 3%. This is Chad Post from Open Letter, and I'm joined as always by Tom Roberge from Riff Raff.
Hello.
And you guys we're recording on Memorial Day, so this will be out actually on Tuesday morning. But you guys are always closed on Monday, so it doesn't impact you at all. I'm just back from Norway, so I have no idea what day it is. And I leave tomorrow morning for New York and for the New York Rights Fair and Book Expo and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to cram this in here, but we kept to our 2-week schedule.
That is correct. I don't know how. I don't know why we're doing this at 10 a.m. on a holiday, but here we are.
I haven't even had coffee yet. I got up and ran 7 miles and just got back when you texted me. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I got to do that. Perfect timing.
Wow. I got up and went to the gym as well. Look at us.
Yeah, that's what happens. Have you seen this articles about middle-aged extreme fitness? Like the new midlife crisis is people getting extremely fit.
Oh, I believe that.
I do too.
Oh, yeah.
It's super funny. I was like, oh, shit. Like, and I can't deny that I'm having a midlife crisis. No, it's just taking a different form.
To be fair, I've always been kind of obsessed with fitness, so...
Yeah.
This is not a new thing for me.
It's not necessarily new for me either, but it like all of it just lined up so perfectly in this article. Yeah. There's no reason to get up on a Memorial Day and go run 7 miles.
Right.
It really isn't.
Unless you want to do a podcast, and then we're going to the beach. So.
Yeah, we're having people over to eat Juicy Lucy's. Nothing more American than a Juicy Lucy.
Oh, gross.
I fucking love them. How can you not like a Juicy? Oh, you don't eat meat anymore.
I don't eat meat, so.
Whatever, hippie. So we were going to talk about a few different random things, but one was that in between the last time we podcasted and now, the Best Translated Book Award finalists have been announced. And actually, I mean, it's to the point where like this podcast will go up on Tuesday, and Wednesday, May 29th at 5 p.m., the Best Translated Book Award winners will be announced. It'll be part of, let me preface all of this with the important stuff. So it'll be done during the New York Rights Fair at Book Expo. There's a panel with Lisa Lucas, Jennifer Croft, Michael Reynolds, Nick Buzansky, and myself from 4:15 till 5 talking about increasing audiences for international literature. And then at 5 o'clock, Patrick Smith will announce the winners of the Poetry and Fiction Awards for the Best Translated Book Award for 2019. There'll be a little reception there at Book Expo. So if you're part of Book Expo, you automatically can go to the New York Rights Fair. You can find us and watch and see this all happen live. If you are not going to the book fair, then we're saying at 7 o'clock, we're going to go to the Brooklyneer bar, which is not too far away. I'm looking up the exact address.
It's on Houston between, what is that, 8th Ave, 7th and 8th Ave.
Yeah, it's 220 West Houston. So yeah, between 7th and 8th on Houston.
It's across the street from Film Forum, if anyone knows where that is.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So 7 o'clock, informal gathering there for anyone who wants to celebrate. I know there are a lot of other things going on, so I won't be surprised if like the attendance is kind of minimal. Hey, no, okay, sorry. But if you can't make it, that's totally cool. But if you want to just come out and hang out, a few people will be there at least. So, but that will be announced on Wednesday. But now we can go over the short list because they were announced in between, and we had speculated, and we were wildly wrong.
Yes, I think except for like a couple that, well, there's one that we were fairly confident on, and that got in there. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, so should we read them?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm
looking at the millions list.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Congo Incorporated, Bismarck's Testament by Incolligine Bofane, translated from the French by Marjolaine de Giager, Democratic Republic of Congo, from Indiana University Press. I had a feeling this would be on here, but it still surprised me, I have to say.
Exactly same reaction for me. There's something in the air or something, and it's still surprising.
It's surprising good.
Because there are some that are not on here that seem kind of...
Yeah. We should wait for that, though.
Sure. All right. The Hospital by Ahmed Bouanani, translated from the French by Lara Verneau. This is a Moroccan author, and this is from New Directions.
I figured this one would be on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it might not make it, but I'm glad
really?
It does now, in retrospect, seem like the kind of thing that would win. But
that's interesting. Yeah, we're going to take picks on who's going to win, too. Next up, Slave Old Man by Patrick Chamisot, translated from the French by Linda Coverdale. From Martinique, and New Press publishes this. I remember him from, I probably said this last time, but I remember him from like that book Texaco was something we sold when I was at the bookstore in like the late 90s. And it was like sort of like a staple of if you had a book of translation, you'd have that for some reason. But like he hasn't been on my mind in years. And so it's interesting to see this one come up and get so far. And so far, these three seem to fit together in a way.
Yes. Emma says that Texaco is still like widely taught in translation classes.
I absolutely believe it. It's just, I've never read it actually. I just sold it. Have you read it?
No, I never read
it. I don't know why. It's just, it was always around.
Yeah. It does seem like omnipresent in like every bookstore in the world. Like even the ones that barely have anything in translation.
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
Oh. Up next, Pretty Things by Virginie Despentes, translated from the French by Emma Ramadan. Virginie is French, and this is from the Feminist Press.
And I'm glad this one made it, although I think we both a little surprised.
Yes, even Emma was a little surprised, frankly, for like a minute, and then she was very excited. So
yeah, that's cool. Super cool. Next up is Moonbrow by Shahryar Mandapour, translated from the Persian by Khalil Sari. Or Sarah, and the author's from Iran, and it's from Restless Books. This book, I keep hearing is really good, but like that cover, just I can't.
I kind of agree with you. Yeah, it looks almost like a self-published.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yep.
Up next, Bricks and Mortar by Clemens Meyer. I don't know how. Meyer, I guess.
I think it's Meyer.
Translated from the German by Katie Derbyshire. Author's German in this.
God. Okay. Have you read this, Bricks and Mortar?
No. I don't know anything
either. I know a little bit about it, and it's super, super, super long. And I met him years ago. I believe I interviewed him at a New Books from German thing that they had. You know, where they have those little conferences, and they have a few different authors. I think I interviewed him during one of those little festivals that they have. It seems cool. It's really, 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 really fucking long. And those Fitzcarraldo books, when they're long, the print seems so small that it seems twice as long as it needs to.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds interesting. It
does. Yeah, absolutely. Not enough time, man.
It does say, there's a typo on their website. But, so the very end, it says, time shifts and stretches, people die and come to life again. And Meyer takes his character seriously and challenges his readers in a dizzying, eye-opening novel. It also finds inspiration in the films of Russ Meyer, Takashi Miike, Gaspar Noé, which they have spelled wrong, and David Lynch. It's like this book was made for me.
Yeah. I have it on my desk. Maybe I'll look at it. Again, it does sound good. So far, I've read one of these books. This is embarrassing. Hey, this is bad. The Convenience Store one by Sayaka Murata, translated from the Japanese by Jenny Tapley Takamori. The author's from Japan, and this was published by Grove. This book has been omnipresent all year.
Yes. Sort of bubbled up slowly at first, but it had like a little cult following, and now I see it everywhere. I see everyone, sort of adores it, and I don't know that it's going to win. Do you think it has a chance?
I don't either, but
yeah. Next, The Governesses by Anne Serre, translated from the French by Mark Hutchinson, also French, also from New Directions.
How many books does New Directions have on here? Is it 2 or 3?
Just the 2.
Oh, okay, it's 2.
2. A lot of French, I will say.
A lot of French, yeah.
A lot of French.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 French books. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's very unusual. Although, I mean, they are from different countries.
And also not a single Spanish.
Yeah, not a single Spanish. That's intense. Isn't it true that, or no, Spanish is one, but there's no French book has won the Best Translated Book Award? Is that true?
Is that true? Is that possible?
I'll be able to tell you in like 4 seconds. I can't think of one. Because the ones that won the most frequently were what should I call it? Crush and Horkai.
Well, your books.
And that's Spanish and Portuguese.
And then Hungarian.
Hungarian. Polish.
right?
Zero French books have won the Best Translated Book Award.
Norwegian, right? The first was Norwegian.
It was no, that was Swedish. That wasn't the
Swedish.
first. The first one was Hungarian. Was that
Oh,
book by from Archipelago? But you're thinking of the Tove Jansson book?
yeah.
That's Finnish, written in Swedish.
Finnish, written in Swedish. Got it.
So the so for long lists or for finalists though, there has been 36 French titles that have made the Best Translated Book Award long list, 0 of which have won. That includes both fiction and poetry though.
Wow.
Yep.
Odds are it's gonna win this year. But
Feels like one of them should at some point in time. I mean, a lot of these though, you look at like who is a finalist, and it's like, yeah. I mean, Compass could have won.
yeah.
But other than that, like maybe Auto Portrait by Edouard Levay. Maybe, but like, yeah, probably not. And then it's like Abdurrahman Wabiri. That's a tough self to win. Ndiaye, Ledavine, and My Heart Hemmed In are both on there. But then the rest of them are like, yeah, probably not. Maybe Ebot of Her Ruins could have. There's a few, but it's a lot of them just seem like they were like, yeah, they'll be finalists, but they won't be winners.
All right. And this, I guess, is the first Despont.
Wait, what's that?
This is the first time Virginie Despont is here, so
That's true. There's only like one other book that would have been eligible, though, I think.
well, I will make the bold prediction that Vernon Subotex next year will be on that.
I think so, too. It won. I'll tell you this. This is segueing a little bit, but the Norwegian, or like jumping ahead, the Norwegian, at the Lillehammer Book Festival, they have a award for the best translation into Norwegian, and it was Vernon Subotex.
Yeah.
By whoever the translator was. I don't know what their name was. Next up is Arafe by Ofigur Sigurdsson, translated from the Icelandic by Lytton Smith, authors from Iceland, and the publishers Deep Vellum. And this is a bit of a surprise because I think both of us and a lot of people expected Codex 1962 to be on here as an Icelandic book, and instead we got Arafe, which is also very good, but I don't think anyone was, and that many people are counting on that.
Yeah, this is still, I think, the favorite. Would
Is
you
it?
say?
Ooh.
I would say.
That's
This has
interesting.
Peter written all over it.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. Yeah, I don't know. My feeling was like Slave Old Man, but I don't know.
Maybe. All right, hold on. Let me get to the last
Yeah.
one, and then we. All right, Fox by Dubravka Ugresic, translated from the Croatian by Ellen Elias Bursak and David Williams, authors Croatian, and this is from Open Letter. Congrats.
Yep. Hey, yeah, we got one on here, which is cool. This is the book that I was hoping would make it to this point because Dubravka is so
All right,
good.
before we move on to poetry, and I truly have no idea how to predict the poetry because it's just, I don't know. I really don't know. You really don't think that the Litton's translation is the odds-on favorite?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would be. I mean, I guess, but I feel like it's so split that it's like that the odds-on favorite isn't like Baron whatever Mister's Homecoming or whatever that book is called. Like next year, that will be like an odds-on favorite to win in a way that's like heavily favored. If this is the leader, it's not by much. I think Convenience Store Woman could win. Pretty Things probably not because it's too something, but I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Slave Old Men or The Hospital. I don't know. Maybe it is, but like I think that there's a group of them that are pretty close.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm giving it too much. I guess I'm like reading into judging sort of patterns and histories that is probably inaccurate, if only because the judges are different and the sort of mandate doesn't exist in the first place. So of course it's changed from panel to panel. But like, back when 5 years ago, when it was Crash and Horkai back to back, like this would have seemed like the successor to that kind of thing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I suppose so. That does make sense. There's a lot of like, the only other thing I noticed is there's a good number of women on the list, right?
Well, the only other thing I will say is if there's any tea leaves to be read in terms of, trying to do right by that, books by women and translated by women and, published by the feminist press, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That would be a good angle.
I mean, and the book itself is about like those kind of
Yep.
issues. So, very like women in society sort of issues that I think would be interesting.
I yeah. Well, Fox has the same thing, minus that David Williams is he translated the first chapter.
I was wondering about that.
So he did the first chapter when they were pitching it around, and then Ellen did the rest. So it's like 2080.
So, do you know, like, are the publishers slash translators slash anybody going to be at this ceremony?
Patrick was working on that. I've been gone. I can make all the excuses I want. I've not been doing very well with keeping up on things this month with all my traveling. So Patrick was talking to everyone and trying to make sure that that's possible. So I hope so. I really hope so, but I can't guarantee because I haven't been in touch with anyone.
Well, Emma will not be there. So
Emma won't be there, but someone from Feminist Press will.
Okay.
We're gonna send out a reminder to everyone again too. But yeah, hopefully there will be a good display of people. But we'll definitely like announce it and like make it all as widely known as possible as soon as 5 o'clock rolls around.
Gotta stop.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. For anyone who's listening, and I haven't edited out all the noise, I'm here alone with Alex, who is almost 15 months, and he is very actively banging on stuff. Because why wouldn't you be?
It's true.
His other thing now is to take stuff and throw it and go, uh-oh, over and over again. Like, dude, that's not an accident. It's like 100% intentional. Like, he slaps you sometimes, like, uh-oh. Like, oh, yeah, got it, buddy. So should we try this poetry one?
Sure.
I've read 2 of these. I read 40% of both of them.
You're helped on the odds here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Start.
The Future Has an Appointment with the Dawn by Tanella Boney, translated from the French by Todd Fredson from the Ivory Coast and University of Nebraska.
Moss and Silver by Jure de Tella, translated from the Slovenian by Raymond Miller and Tatiana Jamnik. Author Slovenian, and this is from Ugly Duckling.
And this is one that I have read.
Okay.
I thought it was
think
cool.
I must have read this one too.
I like the Ugly Duckling books, though, automatically, so.
Yes.
Next up is Of Death, Minimal Odes by Hilda Hilst, translated from the Portuguese by Laura Cesarco Eglin. She's from Brazil, and it's Coen Press. And this one I haven't read by her, but I like her.
Yeah, I think I told you before that Emma really likes Hills, but was not as keen on this one as some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Autobiography of Death by Kim Hae-sun, translated from the Korean by Danmi Choi. Author's Korean, and this is from New Directions.
Yeah, I think that's the winner. That's one I put on early on.
That's a good chance.
Korean stuff's good. Danmi Choi's great.
Yeah.
Okay, the last one, Negative Space by Lijeta Lashenaku. I'm not sure if that's right. Translated from the Albanian by Ani Zhika. The author is from Albania, and this is a New Directions book too. So there's 2 New Directions on both lists.
Yeah. Well,
I haven't read Negative Space, I don't think. I've seen it.
Autobiography of Death seems like a very strong candidate. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I think it does too. I mean, I could see it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about The Future Has an Appointment with the Dawn.
All right. So we'll find out soon.
We'll find out very soon.
What am I looking for here? There we go. Find out soon. So when does Book Expo actually start?
The book fair starts on Wednesday, I believe.
I'm trying to look that up. How do I look that up?
It changes its name all the time, so it's Book Expo, just Book Expo. It's not BEA anymore. It's under Book Expo America. It begins on Thursday, May 20th. The New York Rights Fair starts before that. Oh, no, it's 29th, the 29th, yeah. Wednesday the 29th is when it opens.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. But is the floor open on that day?
That I don't think so. I think the floor opens on Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's...
Man, we don't have any knowledge. That's you.
Well, they don't make it... Oh, yeah. It's still impossible to find.
I know, it absolutely is. This website sucks. Also, this logo is stupid. It looks like something you'd see on like, I don't know, like one of those bad app ads that come up in the middle of like Instagram, where it's like, download this app so that you can like smash the moles. And it's got this kind of font, this Book Expo, like bubbly cursive font. The business of book culture.
All right. So we'll find out soon enough. I will see you at whatever, your panel, if I make it there in time.
Nice. So you actually are going. You're going to be there on Wednesday.
I get in on Wednesday. I don't know what time. I've totally not checked on any of that. So before we move on to new things, well, this is sort of a new thing. So in response to our podcast last time, where we talked about your new cover designs, there was a tweet. I guess this was a response. This was a response to your tweet about the podcast going live from someone named Mike White. He says,
"Oh God, go on."
He says, "Question perhaps for a future podcast: why are physical books with indie presses so much better than the big publishers? Open Letter, ND, NYRB sell $17 paperback books with high quality paper covers, while say a vintage paperback has flimsy covers and gray pages." Then he responds to his own tweet saying, "A book by Frizan from Open Letter and a Cormac McCarthy paperback from Vintage side by side, the difference in physical quality of the book is obvious. I assume the price of an average sized book has little to do with the physical production of the copy, so why the difference?"
Interesting. Before we do that, what was the person's name?
Mike White?
Is it at Gino Logos?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. So he's talking on his... I'm trying to find that tweet because I missed it. But on his Twitter page, he talks about Ganbare, which is by Kazarina Boni, which is a book we're doing about Japan. It's a nonfiction Polish reportage book. So, Mike White, if you're listening, that book is coming soon-ish. Yeah, I can't find that tweet. I can't find anything right now. But that is interesting. I mean, what's your thought? Because you worked at Penguin, so you know about the printing costs and the printing decision making.
Yeah, So the general approach, I would say, for a major publisher in terms of printing specs and high quality sort of aspects to printing a book, that they generally save for one sort of type of thing per catalog or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then everything else is sort of buy the book, no effect. Just very, very, very like, here's glossy, normal paper, normal trim size. Maybe it's embossed, but most likely not. Like they do everything as cheaply as possible because they're trying to make all their money on those books. And then if they have one thing that they think will like generate some buzz for the physical aspect of it, the book as art sort of object, then they will dump their money into that sort of thing. And that becomes the sort of, the design darling of the list. Where, that was my experience with Penguin. You see publishers do a lot of like nice covers per, like FSG does there's a certain quality level, but these are on the new things. When a book goes into paperback, like I don't remember what he doesn't say which Cormac McCarthy book it is. The Cormac McCarthys, when they're in hardcover from Knopf, probably look gorgeous. It's when they put them in paperback that it becomes like a mass media sort of consumable item. With a lot of indie presses, they get just the one chance, and so they up the ante by making that one paperback original really beautiful because they're not going to redo it, right? It never enters a phase of like, okay, it's been successful, we don't need to impress you. Here's just the book with like minimal production, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. That is like, and it is like one of the things that can distinguish you. So if you don't have the vintage or Penguin Classic backing of like the name of it, Penguin Classics choosing this book, so you have a certain aura surrounding that and availability ideas of what that might contain, we have to sort of try and make it look pretty enough to get people to pay attention.
Right. From the get-go. Yeah.
And people aren't going to know who most of these authors are. Whereas they might with like Cormac McCarthy. Do you really need to impress anyone with the paperback version?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like at that point, you just put his name on the cover. It doesn't even matter what the image is. No one cares.
I think the road is just like the road and his name on it.
Yeah, it's black. It's like, totally generic font, just says the road.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so like they can just phone it in. The paper quality is an interesting thing though, because like to up it, because are those like I mean it must be like acid-free paper that they're using too, right?
Yeah, but
But just like
I
the
mean, they're
lowest
buying,
quality.
but they're buying in bulk. Like,
Yeah.
and they're negotiating incredible, massive buys for paper. So they're using the same paper for everything. The smaller publishers don't necessarily get away with doing that. Um, so if they're paying more, they might as well get good paper. You know what I mean? So because at that point, it's like a matter of like a penny per book difference, right? So like, why not just pay a little bit more for something nicer?
Yeah, I haven't been paying too much attention to the paper shortage and how it's like impacting things, but I know it's been on like other people who are out there who are listening to this probably know a lot more about it, but it has been talked about a bunch recently. So how it's affected like timing and cost of things.
Yeah, I mean, it was bound to happen eventually. That's all there is to it. And I think the result is just going to be that people will uh, have to diversify where they buy their paper from, and that will end up meaning that they're going to pay more. Whether or not that gets put into the price of a book, I don't know that book prices can be inflated any more than they already. Not that they're inflated now. I don't know that they can go up too much without customers sort of balking a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, part of that increase, I believe, is because of Amazon's discounting. Because if your sales are going through Amazon and Amazon's selling the book at a discount to consumers, so like you could price it at $20, they'll sell it to consumers for 13. You'll still get like $9 back from the sale of that book off of their discount. You can leave it at 20. Whereas like if there were no discount there, a $20 book to a customer on Amazon is good. No one's going to buy that. And that's why it's hard to sell. It's easier to sell certain books through Amazon than it is through bookstores, because Amazon's giving that discount so that it fucks with all the pricing basically.
Yes, which is a conversation for another time, or one that we've probably had a million times because, you know,
I mean that's why
it
those hardcovers are so expensive now.
ruins small bookstores. This-
It makes it like legitimately an uneven playing field in terms of like what people think the price of a book is.
yes, absolutely.
My students, I know I've said this before because I'll ask them to look up a book on Amazon just like as a trick. It'd be like, look up this book and tell me how much it costs. And they will choose one of two things. That the book costs the amount that's the discounted price on Amazon, or the amount that it will say for like the cheapest used copy. So I'll be like, how much is this book? And they're like, $2.96. Okay. Okay.
Is that what they think it's worth, though?
Worth and value are different things. I choose it very carefully. I say, how much does it cost? Because I want to know like what they think the price of the book is, and they don't think about it generally in terms of like how a publisher would price a book or like what the price would be in a bookstore. They look at what the lowest available price is and assume that is the price, and that becomes their anchor. So that they then anything different than that is too expensive. Like it should be closer to that first number that they see. So even if it's like just if you eliminate the used book ones and they look up a $40 hardcover and it's $22 on Amazon, then if they see $40 later in a bookstore, that seems outrageous. Where if it was like 30, they'd probably buy it. So like the amount that's discounted there like anchors people to a really low number, and it's like it really does screw with like the way that publishers price things and how much money they get, and then how people conceive of what a book's cost is when they go into bookstores. Like I'm sure you've seen reviews on like Yelp of like, or wherever, usually on Yelp of like, where like this bookstore is great, but their books are too expensive.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get like even people I know who like come to events and are, I wouldn't say regular customers, but I know them from around town or whatever. This guy, yeah, he used to run a record store. Like he clearly understands what it means to run a small business. Comes to an event, picks up the hardcover and he's like, "Is there a reason I should buy this from you instead of Amazon?" And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you honestly, you don't understand the difference? Really?" And it's just that discount just fucks with people, you know?
Yep.
Really, 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 really undermines people's perception of the value of books.
It's not just this in Amazon though. It's a normal heuristic that's a anchoring and availability thing that you can do it with anything. And restaurants do it all the time. People do it all the time. Like it doesn't even matter if it's a real number. You can roll a dice and that can anchor you to a number. But it is, in this case, for our business, or for our profession, it is a very noticeable and easy thing to articulate.
Yeah, unfortunately.
One other thing we were going to say, though, too, is about the Man Booker International winner. So give a shout out here. The winner this year was Celestial Bodies by Joka Al-Harthi, translated by Marilyn Booth from the Arabic, and it was published by Sandstone Press, which I don't know much about. I think they're a pretty small press in the UK. But it's the first Arabic book to win the Man Booker International, and that's pretty cool. And it's cool that it's from like a really small press and was not one that I think was the favorite.
No, not at all. And yes, that is a great win, great thing for Arabic writing. Very happy for them.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this book at all, or about the press really, but
I assume it'll end up in an American publisher's hands at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was already distributed here, because when I was like, I don't know what Sandstone is, and then I looked in the database, and I was like, I've been entering Sandstone books for like the past 12 years. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, I'm not sure if it is already or not, but they have some sort of thing that they're doing here. But I wouldn't be surprised if they sold the rights to a big U.S. press now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only a handful of their books that are available in the U.S. I think those are the main things with that we were going to talk about. We did have a few other emails, but they weren't relevant necessarily to any of our topics. But thank you guys for listening and sending in emails. It's always fun to get them.
Yes, they're more personal things.
It always trips me out when you forward them to me because it's like, why is 3% sending me an email?
Well, I know you don't check that account. So.
I don't even remember what the account password is.
Oh, I don't either. It's just programmed into my phone.
Yeah. I feel like you told me at one point in time and it's a joke. And I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm with you. I feel like that's true. And yeah, I will never figure it out.
Never, ever. But I was one of the emails was about Norway, so I could tell you about Norway.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just there for the Lillehammer Book Festival and for a Norwegian fellowship. So they've had, in the past, they've invited publishers to Norway to go to Oslo and meet with the major presses and agents and some authors, and then go to the Lillehammer Book Festival, which is, I think it runs for like 5 or 6 days. We were there for essentially like 2 of them. And you're gonna meet a bunch of people, and there's a lot of like speed dating sort of things where you meet everyone for like 15 minutes and they talk about the books and so on and so forth. This is the first year that they had it as set up as a fellowship where you had to apply. So it wasn't just pre-selecting people that they wanted to bring. And they got like over 100 applications. So it was really well advertised and a lot of people were interested in going. And I think there were 16 of us who went, not all from the US and UK. It was a lot more people from like Canada, Korea, Finland, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, a couple of people from Spain, but a few people from the UK, and then a few people from the US, including Kendall from Catapult, Julia Ringo from FSG, Johanna Gustafsson from Maria Campbell. There's also Michaela from Pedlo from Herbal Sucker, and Jesus Rocamora Hogado from the Planeta from Seis Brawl, which is great, and Laura Macaulay, I'm not sure how you say her last name. Macaulay, I think, is right, from Pushkin. But it was a great group. It was a really fun group of people to go on this trip with. I mean, it's always like you never know how these things are gonna be. I mean, everyone's generally pretty nice, and everyone pretty much always gets along. But sometimes they can, click off or whatever. Some people have more history with each other than others, and all that kind of stuff. But when we got there, everyone arrived on Tuesday, and the thing that they had set up for us was like an introductory dinner followed by a sauna. and told us to bring our bathing suits. So within like an hour of meeting each other, we were all like in bathing suits, sweating in a sauna in the middle of Oslo. But it's this great like sort of communal sauna thing where it's like a giant A-frame space that has like auditorium seating, and then at the base is where all the heat's coming from, and they have events in there. So they have like, there'll be people that give like political talks, they'll give book group discussions, they'll have like authors reading, they do all sorts of like cultural event programming inside the sauna, and they have a bar associated with it. So everyone's like drinking beer or wine and like sweating their ass up in the sauna, which seems like maybe a bad idea, but it was also fucking incredible and so cool. But it was wild. So we were all in there, and they brought up their special like entertainment for the night, and it was Joe Nesbo, who came out and talked for like half an hour in a bathrobe and sweating profusely about his new book that's coming out called Knife. That's coming out in Norway this fall, and I'm sure it'll be out in the U.S. later. But it was really funny. Did you listen to the How Did This Get Made episode about the snowman?
Yes.
Okay. So first question, when it gets to the question and answer period, Sam Rudder, the translator, he raised his hand. He was there, and he's like, so what do you think of the of the movie version of the snowman? And Joe Nesbo went through this whole thing about like, oh, well, when the director said they were going to make it, I gave him like free reign to do whatever he wanted to do. That's totally cool. And then when it was supposed to premiere in Norway, they moved it back a week, and I couldn't attend because I'd already had other plans for the week that it did premiere, so I didn't see it. And then when I saw that everyone seemed to hate it, I just decided never to watch it, which I'm not certain I believe. Like I bet he's seen it, but he did manage to like weasel his way out of like how bad that movie apparently is.
I've seen it. It is terrible. Just awful.
Are you a fan of his books?
I like them. I have read 3 or 4, and I've enjoyed reading them. I don't feel like I need to read any more at this point.
Fair. He said that Ari Hula is in a dark space at the beginning of this new one. He ended the last one and like things were looking up, and now it's like way, way worse. So I don't know if that should intrigue you.
I mean, I kind of assume everything is in a dark place all the time.
Very true. So then there's a lot of, it was really interesting to meet with everyone. Everyone was great. I got to meet with Erlend Loe, the author that Mayor Pete learned Norwegian from. And I talked to Erlend Loe and was like, oh, would you come on the podcast to talk to Mayor Pete if we could get him on the podcast? And he's like, oh, absolutely. I'd really love to meet him and talk to him. I've never interacted with him, but I get all these email messages about people hearing about my book because he had made that comment about learning Norwegian to read it. And so I emailed Mayor Pete too. I doubt that Mayor Pete is listening to this or has any colleagues that are listening to this. But if you do, respond to my email. You should have him come on and talk about Norwegian literature with his favorite Norwegian author. Making connections. That's what this podcast is all about.
That's what we're doing. We're wading into political waters. Right.
I would love to do that with them. I think it would be super fun. I think that would be interesting. And that's like, it's barely political because I don't believe in anyone campaigning until 6 months before the election.
It's still political, but whatever. They can just talk about books.
They're just going to talk about books. Like, I don't think that they would let us do a political discussion.
Who's they?
Like his handlers.
Oh, right. Sure.
Like the people that would agree to setting up such a PR thing would be probably not into that. But if it was just about books, it seems a little bit more intriguing and interesting. There is one other Joe Nesbo story that relates to this, is that apparently like he doesn't like to do events or whatever unless they're like weird or special, and that's why they always said no, but they got him to do this one in the sauna because it was in a sauna. But they also said that one of his big stories from last year was that he got this like big giant knife sent through the mail to his house with a note that was in like ransom writing where it said like you like do not say no to a Finn. And like, and it had this knife, and like those kind of cutout letter ransom note style. And then a week later, he got an invitation in the same style from someone asking him to do a reading in Finland, so he agreed to do it because he thought that was cool. Which sounds maybe a little psychotic too.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of agree. Like the author reading, is kind of a stale format, but.
But I don't know that I want knives.
I don't know that I want to go to a discussion in a sauna either.
It
That's
was the sauna was great. I've decided, so we have this huge problem with this thing, Parcel 5 in Rochester. It's like they took downtown that was all land owned by like various parts of the city. They sold off all of it. It's all been rehabbed into these big buildings, except for one area that's Parcel 5, and it's like the source of all anxiety in Rochester because they were going to build like a Broadway, the Rochester Broadway Theater League was going to get a theater there with other stuff, and everyone flipped out, and they wanted it to be a green space, and all it is like a parking lot that's basically never used. It's ridiculous, but it's like the source of all turmoil in Rochester centers on what's going to happen with Parcel 5, and I'm going to try and convince people that we should put in a fucking massive sauna and have the entertainment be inside that sauna and have like little food carts around like they did in Oslo. Just imitate their idea. They have food carts. You could have a little bookstore there. They have like an art museum that's part of it. And it's simple to put together. You have a little bar attached to that sauna, and that's where people in the winter would go downtown because they'd be like, yes, I need to be warm because it's fucking negative 40 degrees here and there's like 14 feet of snow. So let's go to the sauna. This is my platform. I'm running. Now we've waded into political waters, which I'm running for mayor of Rochester on this platform.
well, good luck with that. This sounds like. Have you seen the movie Fitzcarraldo?
So the other thing that Anthony's wants to run for mayor, but his whole idea is that I don't think he really wants to run for mayor, but his idea for the politics of Rochester is that nothing should ever happen with Parcel 5. It should remain a blank space for the history of the town's existence. No, he should never ever do anything.
So he's like a nihilist mayor.
More or less. So when I was there, I met with a lot of people. There's a lot of good books. I have a way to lead into something that I think is not controversial, but will become clear in a second. So I was on a discussion about like Norwegian literature in America and interest in it and so on and so forth. And it was kind of, beforehand I was like not nervous about it at all, but like I wanted to get some numbers because I was like, I can't think of like, I don't know how to place it. Like, I don't know that Norwegian literature is not as popular as like Spanish literature, but like, how does it compare to everything else? Especially like Nordic countries. So I ran all the numbers from the database for 2008 through 2018 for the 5 Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. Which one do you think has the most books translated into English?
Wait, run my choices through again.
Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Iceland.
These are published in the U.S. or the U.K. as well?
U.S.
I would guess Sweden.
Sweden, but barely.
Okay.
They were higher for a while. They've been consistently high. It's all crime books, of course. But they're slightly higher than Norway, which came in second place. Finland and Denmark. Denmark's slightly ahead of Finland. Finland's pretty low. Like here are the numbers for like the number of books from Finland that are published in the States starting in 2008. 3, 3, 2, 4, 4, 7, 7, 11, 11, 8, 6. So that's pretty low. So Finland seems underrepresented in some ways. Iceland, goes up dramatically, but it's still like the lowest. But if you did it by per capita, it would be really, really high. But Norway's right in there in the middle. Okay, how many Norwegian authors can you name?
I don't know. 4?
4?
5?
Okay, that sounds about right. Who published the most Norwegian books over that period of time?
I'm gonna go with Grey Wolf.
They were second.
NYRF.
They had 12. Grey Wolf has 12 because they did Roy Jacobsen books. They've done the Carl Frode Tiller books. There's a few others. Makes sense. They're in like a Norwegian heavy population. Third place is Houghton Mifflin with 10, but those are all crime books. Knopf with 9, Scrivener with 9, Archipelago with 8, which is basically all of the My Struggle and then the Birds.
Sure.
And number 1 is Delkey Archive.
Wow.
So, yeah. And some of those all the things start to come back to me when I was there in that they have 5 books from one author, Stig Sederbakken, who was a very controversial and interesting and nihilistic sort of author who committed suicide some years ago now, but they did 5 books by him. And I was there when we signed on the first one, Siamese. And but those 5 books, like the translator wasn't sure if the last 2 had even come out. And I have never seen them. I've seen the one. So I looked it all up on Ingram on iPage, and here's the funny part. So they all listed here, but they all look like they're print on demand, like the rest of the Delkey books are. However, so there's 3 that were the ones that they did first, and then the last 2, which no one knows if they actually ever were printed. They show that they're on Ingram, but I can't see the sales data, so I can't tell if they've ever sold at all or if it's just like they exist. The biggest problem, though, is that they misspelled his last name, and not just by a little bit, like by a whole lot. Like it's not even close to what it's supposed to be, so you can't find them. Like I kept searching, I was like, why the fuck? Like these 2 books seem to show up because they're in my database, but they're not like in Ingram or on Amazon. And it's because instead of Sederbakken, which is SAE, which are connected, whatever that character is, TERBAKKEN, they've spelled it STERBAKKEN. So it's just wrong. And like, so they show up there, and you can find them on Amazon and places if you look there, but no one would do that because that's like not a natural way to even guess.
Right. Jesus.
So that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's some poor intern entering metadata, and yeah, just not getting checked.
Yep. And nobody, this is from 2016. So it's years ago. And what's suspicious is that both books supposedly came out on the same date in 2016. The whole thing makes me believe that they're not real. I'm going to try and order them, but I'm not going to try and order them from Delkey because I can't imagine that Delkey will ever send them to me. But I'm going to try and get them. The other author that they did the most books of was another author that I signed on when I was working there, is Jan Fosse, who now, Fitzcarraldo is doing some of the books of, but they've done like 7 books by him. Have you guys ever even seen one?
No.
So I thought, Alyssa at the Fire, Boathouse, Melancholy 2, which I was there for, Morning and Evening, Trilogy, Scenes from a Childhood is Fitzcarraldo. So Trilogy is the last one that was a Delkey one, and the 2 Melancholies. But yeah, that's weird. And they have other ones that they say are forthcoming, but they don't seem to be. So like the point, like it sucks. Like, this sort of sucks. Like I got really interested in like a bunch of the Norwegian books. There's a lot of ones that seem really cool. There's a 1,200-page one that everyone's going to be pissed at if it turns out to be really amazing because I'm going to want to do it. But there's a lot of interesting authors that we're told about and that we're looking into. And I'd like to know more about Norwegian literature, but like, man, it's just Delkey.
Yeah.
And we all know that those books aren't out there. Like, it sucks. So I think in July, because in June, I'm planning on now that I'm back, I'm not, I'm gone for 2 more weeks, but like I'm more or less back, that I can start writing again for the website. For June, I want to write about all our friends that have books that are come out, like Ryan Chapman, Mark Haber, people like that. So books that aren't translated but are friends that are around. And then in July, I think I'm going to do a lot of stuff for Norwegian literature, including maybe the next 2-month review can be this book by this woman called Monster Human. That's like this giant 500-plus page book. It's also from Delkey, but I know the author a bit and the translator quite a bit, and I would like to support them in some way. But I'm curious about it, and it's sort of sad that like if like a great chunk of like the books that are available I guess what my point is that it will skew what we think of as being available from Norwegian literature if the majority of the books are available from Delkey and they're not really out there.
Yeah.
So you have Knausgaard, you have the Dag Solstad books from New Directions, you have Jo Nesbø, and that's going to be the main things that people are going to think of.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. So Jan Fosse is mentioned in the God, what's his name? Erling Kage books. Remember I told you Silence in the Age of Noise and all that?
Yeah.
And he's the publisher?
Yep.
They're friends. So Fosse is mentioned a few times and in the books, and mentioned in a way where I was very intrigued by the guy's literature because it sounds like the kind of thing I would like.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I can't seem to find, like, I'm just not even going to bother trying to order any of these Delkey books, right?
I'm going to try, but I don't know. What I'm going to do is when I'm in New York, I'm going to go look through McNally Jackson and Book Culture and try and get them there.
According to this, I can order Melancholy. I don't know
Right.
if I trust that.
Yeah. The
All right.
FOSTA books are great. The other thing about the FOSTA things, I'm trying to find out more details about this, but he wrote a septology, a 7-book series that's being published in 3 volumes, and is being translated, and it was in honor of, they kept saying his 60th birthday, but that feels wrong. I feel like they meant his 70th birthday and just were getting it confused. He was born in 1959, so he would be 60. Never mind. Wow. He's younger than I thought he was. So for his 60th birthday, he wrote this whole thing, and it's going to be coming out. And that could be the moment in which he could finally like find his audience, since the Delkey books aren't going to find an audience.
Nope.
And the people who do know about him, like I know a lot of people are big fans of his. He's always like a Nobel Prize potential winner, all that kind of stuff. And I've read him, but like I don't know very many other people who really have, except for like that little subsection of people who are interested in international literature on Twitter.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll join you if I get a hold of one. So I guess I should probably stop by McNally at some point.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that's the most likely place to find these.
Right.
I'm not to dismiss the other stores, but the Strand possibly, but the Strand is so confusing sometimes.
Yeah, I can't go in there.
It's just like the randomness of like some of it's overwhelming. I like going in there and just finding something and getting it. But if I were like, I'm going to go seek out Jan Fosse books and Stig Saderbakken books from the Strand, I know I'm going to fail.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
But
It's
someone
just,
must have Kirsty Skomsvold's Monster Human, which I want to buy from them too, even if it is like $1 billion and weighs 1,000,000 pounds and I'm going to have to carry it home. Whatever. Still would rather do it there. Support y'all's. Is there anything else? Is there anything that you have as a rant or a rave?
nope. All I can say is I finally watched Twin Peaks: The Return, and it's every bit as amazing as I was hoping it would be. And
Yep.
wow,
Yep. Best TV.
best thing ever.
That's. Yeah, I mean, it's all that exaggerating is not exaggerating in this case. I don't think.
Yeah, so it's really quite remarkable.
Yep. I love it. I'm gonna rewatch it this summer.
Yeah, I immediately want to rewatch it, but that feels responsible.
I almost did, but then I was like, no, I'm going to wait a little while and let it, because I still remember so many parts of it and so much of it that I've been slowly processing ideas about it for a long time, that once I feel like I'm at the right point, then starting to watch it again will be great, because I'll be able to be like really into it again.
Yeah, he's so brilliant.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to at Book Expo of getting copies of?
Oh, they'll be talking about books in the fall. Most of which, if it's something that would be on my radar, I've already gotten a copy of. The Vernon Subo text is going to be I think an important thing for the fall.
Is it going to be? Are they going to have galleys there?
I have no idea. I mean, I have a copy from the UK.
Oh, right.
So that's Deborah Levy has a new novel coming out. You know, I love her. I've already got a galley of that. So I guess they'll be pushing that to a certain audience. I don't know. I feel like Book Expo largely is, celebrity memoir-y, big novel, big author kind of things. I'll be very curious to see what the consortium group, what they're promoting for the fall. Because a lot of it, I just haven't looked through the catalogs yet. And it's sort of flat. I don't know which is which apart from the names I already know. You know what I mean?
Okay, here, it took a little while, but I found the PW list of the adult galley giveaways to pay attention to. There's Ben Lerner's The Topeka School from FSG.
Meh.
Yeah, meh. What about there'll probably be the no, there isn't going to be the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. I don't think they're giving that out.
Oh, why would they? Why bother?
Yeah. I'm looking for anything that looks halfway interesting, and I'm really not finding anything. Okay, down to Harper 1, Harper Voyager, Hogarth. This is all the big presses. It's not having any of our our people.
Yeah. That's just how it is. You have to go and just make the rounds. It's the only way to do it.
I haven't even looked up to see who's going to be signing or going to be there at all. I haven't looked up anything.
Celebrities, not worth your time.
Oh, I don't know that that's the truth for most of them, but like there's always like a few people. Yale's listed on here. They have a new book by Alberto Manguel and Patrick Modiano. There's always like a few people who I do really like that I want to see at Book Expo. Like last year, Sarah Weinman and Jonathan Lethem were there. There's always like a few people, but the majority are Grumpy Cat.
Who passed away.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to make that a joke.
R.I.P. Grumpy Cat, who died at the ripe old age of 7. By the way.
Grumpy Cat ruined one of my events at Book Expo.
Grumpy Cat, yeah.
No one could get to the event because Grumpy Cat was doing some appearance and just backed up all the hallways and like everyone just gave up.
Yep.
Oh, Jenna Bush will be there.
Oh God.
Malcolm Gladwell. Ta-Nehisi Coates. See, there's always one.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah. So do I. Like he would be fine. That would be good to see him. The other people that are listed on this little thing are not super exciting.
So I got an email last week from BEA asking from the ABA, asking if I wanted to have a sit-down meeting with like the board of ABA or whatever to just like air grievances or like talk about issues.
Were you the only one who was emailed about this?
No, I assume like everyone who's listed as like an owner probably was offered this. I assume it'd be like a 10-minute meeting where like, I don't know, I could talk about whatever I want. But they like in the email, it suggested like, if you want to talk about healthcare or minimum wage stuff and all that. I chose not to schedule one of these meetings, but now I'm kind of regretting it.
You really should have. That would have been great.
I mean, this is a topic for another day, but sort of related to like the minimum wage thing that we've talked about before, but it's framed in such a way as a cost issue, right? The minimum wage issue, that like all sense of humanity and responsibility just sort of seems to go out the window, and it's very frustrating. So I don't know, like me going in and having a meeting with, I don't know, I think Oren Teicher is officially done. But like, I'm going to talk to these people and be like, hey, you're all assholes. Like, be nice. Like, that's not going to accomplish anything. It's just, you know what I mean?
You could take a different approach, Tom.
Which would be what?
You start out by saying, here's some things that I think might make ABA even better. And you give them a list of approaches there. You take the negative and you make it a positive. Give them a solution.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess maybe I should use like corporate speak and talk about how the optics on complaining of rising wages is really bad.
Exactly. Yeah. See?
Because it is.
Yeah. That we should do at some point in time, like a real deep dive into your financial numbers. Not all of them publicly, but like what all that actually ends up meaning to stores.
Yeah. I mean, I got I don't know if you know what this is, the Abacus reports.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I do. I love those. Can you share that with me? I used to use it in my class all the time.
I don't know where. I think I only had a printed copy.
Oh.
I saved it. But I was at a regional New England bookseller thing where they passed around the Abacus report, the national one, and then the regional, the data from the New England stores, which were above the national averages. But the national average numbers, and I'm just going to like, this is just going to be a rough number. Like stores make, and I'm not kidding, $2,000.
Yep. The last time that I saw it presented at Book Expo, like they give like an hour-long session where they walk through all the bits. They had broken it into 3 barrels of like biggest stores, middle-sized stores, and small stores. And the biggest stores had a profit, and the middle and smaller were losing money.
Yeah, I mean, consider that's an average, right?
Yeah.
If $2,000 profit is like an average, think of how many stores are probably losing money perennially.
Yep.
And then your big stores sort of buoying them, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
For those numbers. And, I mean, mind you, like, that $2,000 profit is after, like, you know, owners are paid whatever, salaries or everything. It comes out of that. It's not like an owner is working for $2,000 a year.
Right.
But the idea that someone's getting rich running a bookstore is ludicrous. Like,
yeah. You have to,
so,
unless you have like a big chain of them, other revenue streams. Like it's not just a bookstore.
yeah. I mean, and of course, all of that is sort of factored in, like the non-book sales and sideline sales and that sort of thing are all factored in. We are not entering the data into the advocacy report because our financing is so screwy compared to every other bookstore that, I mean, it's half bar. Like, where do I account for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes no sense. Do I ignore the fact that we have a bar and just give them the bookstore numbers? Because that's not accurate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no real way to capture the essence of what our business is in a way that would be useful to compare it to other bookstores. I can compare our business to other cafe bookstores or bar bookstores, but to a regular bookstore, like even one with like tons of sidelines and gifts or whatever, it's just too tall.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We the store that I worked at in Michigan, Schuler Schuler Books and Music made money, but it was because there's a lot more things that went on with it, like the restaurant, all the sideline stuff, the fact that there were 4 locations, the fact that it was like there's an agreement with Borders that Borders couldn't be there, so it was like one competitor, it was like one shitty Barnes and Noble in town. Like we sort of had that market locked down, and so they would make money, but I don't even know then it was like that much. It's like probably 8% profit a year, and that's pretty low in comparison to other fields.
Right. And I should also say, like, profit is not the only reason to do this. Like,
You do it for the glory.
Run a nonprofit. Like, I believe in what we are doing, and that's fine. And Emma and I, don't make a ton of money from the store, but we get by. And to me, there's significant advantage in being our own bosses and doing things the way we like and not answering to anybody except, some investors we have to pay back. But there's a non-numerical value to that.
Yeah.
In my personal life. So, and then, someday down the road, we'll pass it on to somebody else who wants to do this as well and who finds value in it. And I think, establishing that sort of legacy and that sort of place for a store like ours in the world is worthwhile, whether or not we get rich off of it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for that part of the world.
Yes. Yeah. The city needed it, and I feel like there are people that are grateful that we opened there, and that means a lot to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only reason to do things. That's all.
Yep, absolutely true. I completely agree, but I don't think many people in America do. It's even a problem that like this is longer with this. Like I can't get into it all now, but I was talking about it a bit when we were in Norway of like the fact that when we talk about a book, the second thing anyone says is like how it sold. Like they evaluate all books based on the sales, and like there's something disconcerting about that we're just like, oh, we did this book, it did really well, it was about X. Like you never talk about the book itself first, you talk about the sales of it and if it worked first rather than the book itself. And that I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And it's funny, only after many years did I realize, like, when you talk to someone like Barbara at New Directions or Declan or whatever, they don't ever ask these questions when they're considering a book, whether or not they want to buy the rights to an author they haven't published before from wherever. Like, Barbara doesn't look at the person selling the rights and say, well, how did it do in France? How did it do in Norway? Her first question is like, well, what is it about? What is the style? Is it an indie book? That's it. Whether or not they can make it work is like totally secondary. Like first and foremost is like, is this a fucking good book?
Yep.
And that's refreshing. You don't have a lot of that left in New York City publishing.
Oh God. Yeah, it does not seem like it. Yeah, absolutely. So are there any books that you're reading that you're excited about?
I just finished a couple things, and what was I about to pick up? Totally blanking. I was going to read Optic Nerve, which has been out for like a month now.
Yeah, I was thinking
haven't gotten
about
to
that
it yet. I hear it's good. I feel like I will like it.
I feel like I'm waiting for like this is the greatest book that's ever been written hype to go away a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read it until that's gone because I'll absolutely dislike it just based on that.
Other than that, the Ann Boyer book that's coming out in the fall, I really want to read now, even though it's not coming out to the fall.
One of the people on the trip was reading that on the train.
Yeah. I have the Javier Maria's book, which I should probably read sometime soon. I think it comes out in August.
That sounds right. Sounds vaguely right.
That's about it.
Nice.
What are you reading? I'm totally blanking. I picked up the Galley from New Directions yesterday, and thought I would get to reading it, but sitting at a bar reading and ran into friends. So
which book?
I'm trying to remember. It's a New Directions book that's coming out like next month, and I'm totally...
I started Ryan Chapman's new book yesterday, or his book. Riots I Have Known. Yesterday. I read like 7 pages, and I was enjoying it, but I literally read 7 pages. I'm still reading fucking Anniversaries, and yesterday I finished. I'm gonna write one more thing about graphic novels from New York Review Books Comics. I finished one of those, which is okay. There's one that I really liked, and the second one was just okay. But I also finished Infinite Baseball by Alvin Noe, and that book sucks. That book sucks so bad. And this is my rant, is that it was all these essays that were written for 13.7, that Cosmos and Culture blog that was on NPR for a while that they shut down, and it's fucking dumb. It's like the sort of book that if you want, what kind of baseball book would you write for like NPR listeners who don't know or care about baseball and just want some trite observations and, you know, silly examples? This is it. It's insultingly bad. Hopefully Alvin Noe does not listen to this podcast, but even if so, buddy, no. That was not a good book.
Oh, I found the book that I was about to pick up and read. Ingeborg Bachmann.
Oh, right, yeah. That's been out for a million years.
Well, no, it's
a reissue.
A reissue, yeah. But I've never read it, and I'm very curious.
Cool. Okay, I think that's probably enough. Alex is bored.
Yes.
He's just sitting on my feet.
Go enjoy your meat. Your grilled meat.
Hell yeah, I will. Meat and beers and all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, see ya. Thank you.